with a knife video for you. And today I want to have a little bit of fun. I want to have a little discussion with you and I'd love to have you take part in this. Let's imagine that you're working painstakingly on a beautiful hand-rubbed satin finish blade, and as you're there rubbing away, poof, the Knife Genie appears. And the Knife Genie offers you 3 knife wishes and does qualify it by saying, look, no wishing for more knife wishes. And so you say, okay, great, I've got this figured out. I want an unlimited PayPal account that only works for knife sales. Genie nods his head, poof, and done. It's there. Second wish, I would like a compression lock military with the clip put in the right place. And I'd like it in M390 steel or whatever steel of your choice. Poof, the Genie nods his head, and there is your military in the way that it should be done. And finally you say, okay, the last thing I would like is a Gareth Bull Chamois 3.5. Don't really care that much about the finish. And the Knife Genie says, I've been trying to get my hands on one for a couple of years now. It's just not possible. Can't do it for you. But listen, I can offer you an affordable Rexford custom, or if that's not going to work, I could offer you another XM18 variant. And, so you pick the XM18 variant because, of course, who wouldn't? And now we can get into the slightly broader list. Okay, guys. So this list is compiled by myself. I had a bunch of, excuse me, I had a bunch of items for myself, and I also put the question out on the Sharp Stuff Facebook page, where it's just a page that kind of goes along with this channel so I can ask questions and update and share videos and stuff like that. So anyway, if you want to join the Sharp Stuff Facebook page, there'll be a link down in the description box below. Also, I'll put a link to DLT trading, and if you use that link, it will help the channel. That's very much appreciated, and a number of you already have. So I really, really appreciate all the support, both through White Mountain Knives and DLT, and using Amazon links and all that stuff. That's fantastic, and it makes this hobby and the ability to make these videos just a little more affordable. If you ask my wife, I still waste far too much money on knives. I'm sure all of you guys know what that's about. So that's what the unlimited PayPal account would solve, right? Okay, let's go ahead and get into the list. Some of these are mine. Some of them are mine qualified by some of the things that were mentioned in the on the Facebook page. And so this is just sort of a conglomeration. If you don't hear yours here specifically mentioned, just know that I did my best, and I'm working from some notes here that I took off the Facebook page. Also, like I already mentioned, I'd love to have your knife wishes down in the comments. So the first one has got to be for Tops Knives to make all the fixed blade sheaths. All right. I love the way that my Tops Idaho Hunter does their sheath. It's my favorite knife sheath by far, and I wish all fixed blades had sheaths very much like that. That would be a huge win for me. Number 2, and this one was brought up a lot, and a lot of variations of this were brought up in the over on the Facebook page. For knife laws and knife restrictions to go away, especially Canadian viewers and subscribers said Notice 18-01, which was the sort of modification to the import rules on knives, which basically says, yeah, border guards have carte blanche. They can just deny anything for any reason. They're not answerable to anyone. They can just make the rules up as they go along. And it's super frustrating for knife buyers in Canada because you literally can't know. They can just do what they want and you have no recourse, which is really, really frustrating. I'm going to switch these guys out kind of as we go along just to keep some fresh imagery up there on the screen for you as we're talking about this. So what other knife wishes have we got? Okay, here's one that was mentioned by Bradley, and he knows me, and this was on my list already. So manual Microtech stitch. I love the Borka stitch, such a cool blade. And I really like the Microtech version, but it's auto, and of course autos are illegal in Canada, so a manual version would be better. I also tend to prefer manual versions over automatic versions, so a manual production stitch would be fantastic. I also had, this was a number of requests, guys, were sort of production collaborations between Riot and WE and different companies, but specific mention was made for a WE Vox collaboration, which would be an interesting thing to see. Another one that came up a lot was steel wishes. Okay, so variations of this one were pretty prevalent for HCR13 MOV or D2 or even S30V to go away, and for all of the knives in that steel to be magically switched to something else. In the case of HCR13 MOV, it could vanish and be replaced by BD1 or 9CR18 or 14C28N. All those steels were specifically mentioned. And so I totally get that. For Benchmade to stop using S30V to either go back to 154CM or go up to S35VN. Next one on the list was, and this was a good one, this was my own as well as a couple of others. This is for cold steel to offer some satin blades. I don't know why they just automatically make everything in black. Now they're kind of changing that a little bit, but there are still lots of models that are well loved that are only available with a DLC coating, and that is kind of annoying. I'd love to see, for example, a Broken Skull or an American Lawman with satin finish. I think that would be a huge, huge win. All right, what else have we got on the, oh yes. So in the discussion about bearings versus washers, there's lots of things that we could talk about, but one of the things that I'm a huge fan of, and that this knife actually has, is roller bearings. So instead of ball bearings, they're little roller bearings like what you used to see at the grocery stores. You could put your bags on those rollers and roll them out the door. So I would love to see more knives adopt roller bearings. It just seems like such a mechanically great system. And, it's available on a few knives, but not nearly as many as I wish it was. So that would be huge. Okay, here's one of my favorite knives. And there were a number of, there's a lot of knives that are almost good, okay? And if you've watched my videos, you've seen me talk about knives where I'm like, I love this knife so much. I love the design. I love a whole bunch of stuff. But then there's one like huge glaring issue. And you think, if only that one problem could be fixed, it would be such a better knife. And so a couple of these may make the list, but the one that stands out in my mind is the SOG Aegis. I love the SOG Aegis design. It's a great blade shape. It's ergonomic. Like, there's so many things that are good about it, but it needs to be done in G10, in a stainless steel G10 sort of framed knife, something like this Bestech Ascot, right? And with a lock that actually works. Okay, so that stupid arcish lock that SOG likes to use on their cheap knives is really, really frustrating and completely useless. I mean, not totally useless. It does lock the knife, but there's always blade play in every model that has it. That drives me a little bit crazy. So a SOG Aegis feels like a great design, just poorly implemented. And so if they would take the design and implement it properly with a good lock, good steel, and good handle materials, that would be a huge win. For Shirogorov to drop their prices by about 40%. This is a big one, guys. Shiros are nice, and I've handled a few of them. The F3 is probably my favorite. But for what you're getting and for where they're made, like, they're still an overseas produced knife. They really are overpriced, okay? And so, I feel like Shirogorovs would be fantastic if they were in the same price point as, Hinderers and Sabenzas, but they're way up there. All right. Now, along those lines, let's pick on Spyderco a little bit. One of my most recent frustrations, the Spyderco Paisan. Here is a huge wish. A Spyderco Paisan with a hollow grind, which is what the custom has anyway, with a lock that actually locks up, that doesn't have any issues, and at an appropriate price point. $400, even up to $450, great. I wouldn't be freaking out, but the price point they ask is just outlandish. And thinking of Spyderco, I had a number of people mention a Spyderco flipper that works well. And I have the Amalgam, I like the Amalgam, but I wouldn't say it's got great action. I mean, it's got okay action, but it's not as good as it could be, and arguably as good as it should be. So that's another good example, I think, of a wish that many, many people have echoed. Let's see here. How about this? No more counterfeit knives, for all the clone knives to just go away, so that when you're on eBay buying a knife, you pretty much know that if it's in existence, it's the real deal. That would be so comforting as knife enthusiasts, wouldn't it, to know that there's no counterfeits out there, that no one's making fakes. And of course, as an industry or as a community, we can do something to mitigate against this, which is stop buying those clone knives, right? If you want, and I know I just picked on Spyderco and and Shirogorov for being overpriced, and I stand by those criticisms, but I'm not going to go out and support somebody else making a copy of those knives because I'm mad at Spyderco or Shiro. I just, two wrongs don't make a right, like the old saying goes. Okay, so no more counterfeit knives, and it would help if we stop buying them. And I will say this, guys, from a cultural standpoint, the Asian countries, China included, they just don't get it, right? They don't have the same kind of laws as we do, and they don't even think about it. They don't have a concept of intellectual property, so it's hard to blame them. It's really, the U.S. market is to blame. That's where these knives are being sold. That's what's supporting the whole clone stuff that goes on. More availability. No, wow, I couldn't even speak there. More availability. Wow, I don't know why I had such a hard time with that word. But now there was a long list here, guys, on GECs, on Koenig knives, on all kinds of things, right? Any limited production knife, paramilitary twos and all kinds of specialty stuff, custom knife factory, Riyadh. There's lots of companies out there that do sort of limited production runs on different things, and that's frustrating for anyone who's into the hobby. GEC is another good example, and there are a number of reasons for this, guys. I don't think the most recent the two knives that stand out over recently would be the North Arm Skaha and the now I can't think of it, the Atom. Whoever makes the Atom, TRM, I think. Three Rivers Manufacturing, yeah. So the Atom. Both knives are really high demand and really hard to get. It's not that they're super expensive, it's just that everybody wants one, and these companies have limited production capacity. And so that's going to happen from time to time. And it sucks when you really want something, and for me, I kind of made a rule for myself. One, it was because I wanted to protect my budget. And so my rule is I don't line up and I don't sign up, right? I every once in a while I may break that rule, and I know for a custom maker that would be different. If I was into custom knives, that's kind of the deal. It's one guy; he can only do so much. But I don't get up in the middle of the night and start refreshing my feed on Blade HQ or something to buy the latest ZT limited run. I'm just not doing it. Sorry. And so I get the frustration that all of us have with these limited production runs on different knives. It is annoying, and I think we all kind of wish it would go away. I guess with the exception of, here's the other side of this coin. If you're a collector and if you've got one of these knives, okay, I've got a Custom Knife Factory Satori right now, and yes, part of what helps the value stay where it is that there are no more being produced. So I get that kind of from a collector standpoint, but I don't know, maybe I'm just too lowbrow for the whole, chasing knives type of stuff. I just am not willing to do it. So that's that was one of the wishes that came up. And there were a number of people who said there were different models mentioned, but the general consensus was more availability on knives that we want to buy. Okay. Someone said a cure for the knife addiction. And of course, that's already been covered in the unlimited PayPal account. Then you can just buy all the knives. Okay. That would be fine. Now, I do have one note to kind of finish it off. Just when you thought that maybe some knife wishes do come true. All right, and perhaps I'd love to hear your story about this. Maybe there's something that you dreamed of happening that you wished would happen. This is a pretty good example for me. I really wanted a larger version of the Crux, and this doesn't quite do it, but it kind of gets close. I would love to hear the story of something you wished would happen. Maybe you really wanted a larger native and then they made this. Or perhaps you wanted a larger native and you got the Shaman, which is, again, very, very similar in sort of ideology to the native chief. I'd love to hear your stories about that down below, as well as your wishes. Here's one of the things that, when I've been looking at my Satori, and I do love it. It's such a cool knife. And then I heard that Custom Knife Factory was going to be doing the snafu as well. And I thought, oh, that's really, really cool. A $500 or so snafu would be really awesome. turns out that wish is kind of a bust because that thing's going to cost $700. So that's a hard pass for me. It's just completely ludicrous to think that, and the only thing I can hope, the problem is there are tons of people out there with more money than brains who just don't care what the price is at all. And they'll buy this stuff. And so those of us who are on budgets, that's the reality. Anyway, so sadly, that snafu is probably going to sell. But I think it would be good on Custom Knife Factory if just no one bought them, right? If we all as a community said, that's too high of a price, we're not doing that, and just let those snafus sit on a shelf, all right? I know it's not going to happen. Maybe you can add that to my list of knife wishes. All right, thanks for all of your support. Love to see your comments down below and your wishes in the community. I wish all of you a great, happy day. And I want to thank you again for watching, for liking, for subscribing, and for using those links down below. It really does help the channel. We'll talk to you soon.